Wish has a horrible soundtrack. I know that, you know that, pretty much everyone knows that by now. Everyone's already memed the horrible lyrics and bad pacing to death, so while I'll touch on that, that is not the main point of this video. I will be looking at every song with one easy question in mind. What is the point of this song? In a good Disney movie, every song has a purpose. They contain important character motivations or plot developments that you need to understand the story. Some explain a character's goals or ambitions, some showcase an important moment like the villain instigating an evil deal, or some give us necessary details to move the plot forward. In other words, if you remove the music from the movie, you miss out on a crucial part of the film. And spoiler alert, Wish fails at this spectacularly. So let me break down why the soundtrack of Wish, and Wish as a whole, is an absolute disaster. The reason this video took so long to make was because I wanted to actually watch the movie before ripping it to pieces, and I'm glad I did. The film opens with a storybook telling us the tale of King Magnifico and the creation of the Kingdom of Rosas. It jumps to Asha talking to her granddad about how his wish may be granted one day, maybe even today. And then we get our first song, Welcome to Rosas, and it's not great. The main overarching problem with this song is how it's obviously trying to be the family madrigal from Encanto, but missed what makes that such a good opening song. Encanto's family madrigal does a lot for the movie in just a few minutes. It tells you about the gifts of each character, showcases the magic house, plants the seed of curiosity about what happened to Bruno, and showcases the main conflict of the movie. Mirabel's family all got gifts, but she did not. It also does a fantastic job showing off Mirabel as a character. She's so sassy and upbeat, even though we see she didn't get a gift. There's a lot packed into the song, making it essential to anyone trying to understand the movie. And yes, they sing it a bit too fast to pick up on all the lyrics the first time, but it's still an amazing opener song from a writer's standpoint. Now let's compare that to what Welcome to Rosas accomplishes. It explains some of the timings of certain events. Seriously, that's it. Honestly, it was surprising. I'd listened to this song maybe a dozen times before watching the movie in preparation for this video, and I'd always assumed the only reason the song existed was to explain to people who King Magnifico is and how the wishing ceremonies work, but they already did that in the intro. Seriously, all this does is explain the timing of some of these events. We now know that you have to be 18 to give Magnifico your wish, and that he grants a wish once a month, but all the rest is just repeat information. The song feels almost completely useless. And the entire time, they're trying to show us why Rosas is so interesting, and they fail spectacularly. Hey, come live here. People have long hair and can dance on beat. Listen, long-haired stilt people just don't compare to weather control or super strength. Everyone keeps telling these characters why they should love it without really showing how magical or amazing anything actually is. Now let's compare this to one other movie that introduces a kingdom, Tangled. The kingdom dance scene is incredible because you can see how much it means to Rapunzel. She's wanted all her life to come here, and the kindness of the townsfolk and the discovery of new foods is magical. Far more magical than stilt people. I'm being way too mean to this guy, aren't I? The town isn't telling her why it's special. We get to see Rapunzel discover its beauty, which is just so much more organic. And now it's a good time to talk about Wish's animation. It is horrible. When the trailer came out, it got mocked for being low quality and cheap, and Disney rushed to defend it, saying it only looked that way because of YouTube. It'll look way better when you see it for yourself, they said. Well, I've seen it, and it was horrible. It legitimately feels cheap. All the details and lighting have been sucked out, leaving us with the most bland and lifeless looking movie I've seen in ages. Okay, fine, it's not as bad as Aquaman 2, but that's not much of a compliment. Seriously, look at the vibrant colors and lighting we got in Encanto, then look at Wish. No comment section, I am not re-recording that. Tangled came out 14 years ago and looked better. You cannot tell me that Wish cost more than both Spider-Verse movies put together. It just doesn't make sense. And now let's bash on the cinematography a bit, shall we? Typically, if a movie has bland or uninteresting camera shots, you don't notice it because it's lively and colorful. We've already established that Wish is neither. During a lot of the song, there's surprisingly little movement. The background stands still and the on-screen characters feel kinda lifeless. And so during some of these dance moments, which are sadly some of the best in the whole movie, there's no feeling of life or energy. I think it's mostly just the bad lighting and art direction that makes the cinematography feel so stale, but watching this movie just sucks out my soul. I can't stand it. So I guess the last thing to cover is, does this song sound good? No, not really. Not at all. The lyrics don't flow well. Asha pronounces things in a way no human ever would. Many, not many. And then a lot of lines just feel like filler, like the line. It's just not great. The part that feels the most off, though, is the chorus. This sounds good. But the line directly after it feels so awkward. They try to cram in about twice as many words as they should, and it doesn't work. And then the all of us, Rosas lines don't work either. Everything about the song just feels a little bit off. But you know what? All of that can be forgiven if this is the low point of the movie. Maybe things just get better from here, right? Let's jump ahead to the next song and see if that's an improvement. I will protect you at all costs. The next scene is an atrocity of basic writing. Asha and her best friend both spout information to each other that they both already know just for the audience's benefit. Hello, best friend, could you help me with my interview today? Oh, you mean your interview with the king to become his apprentice, the one you've talked about for months now? Seriously, nobody talks like that. But anyways, her friends all grab some cookies. Don't get attached to any of them, they're mostly meaningless to the whole film. And the queen enters, telling Asha it's time for the interview. Then you've got that scene in Harry Potter where he's in Dumbledore's office and gets attacked by the candy, and in comes the king. Asha gets embarrassed, but then she and the king connect reconnect over the death of her dad, and the king invites her to the wishing room. Honestly, the king is a pretty okay character so far. His motives make sense, he seems nice. I wonder how this could go wrong. And then there's a song. I look at each of these songs through the lens of, what does this add to the movie? Songs should only be in a movie for a reason. And this song, At All Costs, has absolutely no reason to exist. It's clear the king never shows people the wishes, so logistically they shouldn't be in there in the first place. But beyond that, this song accomplishes nothing. Magnifico and Asha sing vague, meaningless words about protection and safety as they look at the orbs. This song 100% could have been cut and nobody would have noticed it. It's almost like the song had a different purpose originally, and once the plot got changed, they haphazardly stuck it where it didn't really fit. Oh hey, would you look at that? Yeah, so originally this was a love song between Asha and the Wishing Star, who was a humanoid instead of this Luma ripoff. The songwriter talked about how he wanted this song played at weddings, and you can tell it's totally a love song. I'm pretty sure everyone watching this video already knows that. Starboy has a bigger fandom than Wish itself. The world has united in the fact that the movie the concept art talked about is a lost masterpiece. And since At All Costs is the clearest view we have of the movie we were robbed of, and it's useless to the actual film, so there's not much to say there, I'm gonna look at it from a slightly different angle. Would this song have been the next I See the Light, or was it doomed to fail either way? First off, I actually really like the chorus. The words work, the song flows, everything sounds really good. For me, this is easily the highlight of the movie, and a great building block for what could be a classic song. The problem is, aside from that, the rest of the song has the same problems the whole movie does. Let's look at Magnifico's lines.
If happiness was a tangible thing, it would be you.
That's a pretty cool way to kick off a theoretical love song. But then we get,
If you'd have told me the feeling you bring, I'd think it untrue.
which is not near as good. The feeling you bring isn't very specific, but that could be forgiven if they didn't use the amateurish Yuta and ended on untrue, which just feels odd. Then we're back to pretty good with,
People search for a wonder like you all of their lives.
it's cute and it fits well. And then,
You still amaze me after all this time.
yeah, it's a good line, but Magnifico delivers it so weirdly that the nice words don't land well.
You pull me in like some kind of wind,
Is a good enough line, but it's followed by,
mesmerized by the hold I'm in.
which feels off because it's incomplete. If it was, I'm mesmerized by the hold I'm in, that would sound better, but still not amazing. And then we get our first example of what many have labeled Yoda speech.
Leave you here, I don't wanna.
Nobody talks like that. Wanna is also a bit amateurish, but again, that's a nitpick compared to the rest of my complaints. So then we get the good chorus, which is promptly ruined by Asha's verse. The way she pronounces explain, the way she abandons the set rules of the song when she says, why'd they add the do? It sounds so much better as, I'll never dream like I used to. You don't need the do. And then her line is probably the worst line of the whole song. It's basically meaningless, doesn't fit the meter, and it feels like the writers knew what they wanted to say but completely missed the dartboard. The following line would be better if Asha didn't jump straight into Yoda mode with, and by then it's too late to save, which admittedly isn't half bad on its own. The chorus repeats and then the bridge starts strong with, you should know by now that good lines are just warning signs pointing out trouble ahead, and sure enough we get, which feels weirdly placed, is great and thankfully is a good continuation. But then we get, what's that supposed to mean? People swear on something like their life or their mother, something that means a great deal to them. Swear on my response is meaningless, and if someone swears in their response that they love you, you should probably break up with them. Their word means nothing. So then the chorus repeats, and there you go. That's the whole song. I said I wouldn't break down songs like that, so why did I spend so much time on At All Costs? Because I wanted to explain that I don't think keeping Starboy would have fixed everything. From what I can tell, it sounds like the only line they changed was love you at all costs to protect you at all costs. The rest of the song was probably pretty much unchanged. People keep saying that we were robbed of a masterpiece, but the best look we have at what we missed out on suffers from the exact same problems that the rest of the film does. Poor pacing, bad writing, and Asha's awful habit for going off tempo. I'm not saying that the concept version of Wish would have been as bad, I'm just saying I don't think it would have been much better. Again, this song means nothing in the movie we did get, so at the end of the day, all we're left with is a thinly veiled love song between a married man and a minor. Great morals, Disney, you're really winning over that next generation. But it's about time to move on, so let's see if Wish's music gets any better. It's been meaningless so far, but not offensively so they can dig their way out of this mess, right?
So I make this wish to have something more for us than this.
So next up is Asha confronting the king about the wishes. Everyone's already talked this to death. Yeah, I'm on the king's side. It's clear from the opener that anyone is welcome to come to Rosas, and the king later says people can live there for free, so the only real tax is your wish, which could be granted. Everyone who comes to Rosas knows exactly what they're signing up for. Their wishes are their tax, and they know going in what they're giving up for protection, free housing, and general happiness. I can see Asha's point about how the king should return wishes to people if he won't grant them, but at the end of the day, Magnifico is in the right and Asha's in the wrong. It's pretty obvious. But nevertheless, Asha runs away, distraught about the state of the wishes, and we get our next song, the big character-defining Let It Go of the movie. And this one's tough. Just like the last one, you can see inklings of a good song, but they're muddled by everything else. You've probably seen a few other videos about this song, or I Want songs in general, so I'll try to run through this pretty fast. All Disney musical movies have the moment where the main character sings about what they want, what drives them. Tangled's When Will My Life Begin is about Rapunzel dreaming longingly about the outside world. Encanto's Waiting on a Miracle is about Mirabelle desperately wishing for a gift so she can feel like she belongs. Moana's How Far I'll Go is about how she wants to break free from expectations and explore the world. You've got Aladdin singing about how he doesn't want to be a thief, Simba singing about how he wants to be a king, and Ariel singing about how she longs to be part of the surface world. In other words, this I Want song always expresses a clear goal, motivation, or wish for our main character. So this wish should precisely explain Asha's longings and motives, right? Nope. Her longing is literally to have something more for us than this. It's so vague, so non-specific that it's essentially useless. And that's a running theme for this movie, by the way. Nobody has any real driving force or motivation. It's always something vague and directionless. The crux of this movie is that Asha wants her granddad's wish to be answered, but his wish is literally to inspire people. Magnifico points out that it's too vague. He could be trying to inspire rebellion or something. But I think even that's too grandiose and specific a conclusion to draw. If he inspired someone to tie their shoelaces or stand up straight, then whoop-de-doo, guess that's a wish fulfilled. And Asha's wishing for everyone to have more or live better is just as vague and meaningless. They have everything they need. They're happy. And if they feel incomplete, maybe they should move somewhere that lets them keep their wishes and dreams but has taxes. You don't get everything in life, kid. I made a short not long ago about the parallels between the story of Wish and the biblical story of the Garden of Eden, and when you look at it through that perspective, this song takes on a whole new identity. For those who didn't see that short, or haven't heard the story, in the Bible, God created Adam and Eve and told them to do whatever, except they couldn't eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. King Magnifico is the movie's version of God, and the one thing people aren't allowed to do is touch their wishes, just like God told Adam and Eve not to eat the fruit. But Asha gets just a tiny little taste, and she desperately wants more.
Isn't truth supposed to set you free? Or why do I feel so weighed down by it?
Is the opening line of the song, and it's a great biblical parallel. Trust me, once Adam and Eve ate the fruit, they knew the truth, and I bet they wished they'd never disobeyed. But Asha isn't Adam and Eve in this scenario. She's the snake. She knows the power these wishes can have. She's seen what they can do. Her happiness and innocence is gone, so she might as well ruin everyone else's. The next line is,
If I could show them everything I've seen, open their eyes to all the lies, then would they change their minds like I did?
now that she's tasted the fruit, it's time to drag everyone else down with her. Oh, and the I may be young, but I know I'm not wrong line is great.
I may be young, but I know I'm not wrong.
Pride comes before the fall, kid. Get ready. The rest of the song mentions what she now knows and how she used to do what she was told, but oh, she's got freedom now. She's throwing caution to all them warning signs. It's time to let everyone else taste the fruit so they can be free from the shackles of God as well. Now, do I think Disney sat down and said, hey, you know the Bible? Let's do that, but bad. No. I think the parallels here are completely accidental, but I do think that it says something about the ethics of a company when even if y'all don't see these particular parallels, the whole world can agree that Disney made a villain the hero and a hero the villain. The moral compass of this company is so completely busted that I don't know if we'll ever get a meaningful moral from Disney again. And this wish? This is only the beginning of Wish's dark side. But that's enough of a Bible study for now. Let's briefly look at some specific sections of this song. Musically, the chorus sounds good.
So I look up at the stars to guide me and throw caution to every warning sign.
Okay, the warning signs line is pretty dumb, but for me, I personally think there's way worse lines in this movie. Overall, it's not Let It Go, but it passes the big Disney song test. Until the final line.
To have something more for us than this.
To have something more for us than this is more than just a meaningless wish, it's a mouthful that doesn't fit or feel like a meaningful way to end the chorus. The words just don't flow well. And the verses are even worse. The whole section from
I've got reservations and hesitations on where I should even begin.
to
I'm here to call it what to do.
is the perfect example of why Asha needs to go back to music school. It's like she looks at a songbook, reads it for a second, gets bored, throws it out the window, and does her own thing. And it just doesn't work. Her riffing and jumping all over the place makes everything feel messy and haphazard. So in that way, I guess this wish fits with the other songs perfectly. Just like At All Costs, there's the bones to a pretty okay song here, but Asha tries her best to ruin it and succeeds masterfully. So the main question, what does this song accomplish? The answer is the absolute bare minimum. Disney wanted to make a song about a girl wishing on a star, and that is all this is. There's no clear direction, no real motivation aside from, ooh, I guess I care too much, huh? Whoopsie daisy. Yes, Asha, you do. Sit down. I don't care if you're already running. So yeah, bad song, but far, far from the worst.
You're a star. Watch how broken you are.
The Luma ripoff of A Star Comes Down, the goat can talk, and Magnifico feels threatened by the magical light he sees off in the distance. Asha asks what the heck is going on, and we get our next song. People have been memeing on This Wish or This Is the Thanks I Get, which we'll get to in a minute, calling them the worst songs Disney's ever made. Musically, I still think the Scuttlebutt from the Little Mermaid remake is way worse from an audio standpoint, but there is no song I despise more than You're a Star. You know how I was complaining about Asha's motivations being so vague they're meaningless? That was nothing compared to this song. So the song starts by asking deep, hard to answer questions. Why do we look up at the sky for answers? Why are flowers such eloquent dancers? And what forms tree rings or makes seeds sprout? We don't have to look far. The answer's right here. You're a star. Yes! That's it. This song asks all the right questions and then gives us the most meaningless, useless, garbage answer I've ever heard. Okay, sure, I'm a star. What does that have to do with me? What does that change? How does that have any bearing on my life? It's such a frustrating and worthless answer. It's absolutely meaningless, and Disney knows it's meaningless. They act like, whoa, did we just blow your mind? While knowing full well they've said absolutely nothing. And this is a disturbing trend I've actually seen a lot in children's media lately. I made a short on Orion in the Dark a while back. It's a horribly paced movie with awful characters, but what really stood out to me was its surprising glorification of nihilism. Nihilism, for those that don't know, is the belief that everything is meaningless, nothing matters, and we come from nothing and will return to nothing. And since nothing matters, just do whatever you want. It's not going to mean anything at the end of the day because you mean nothing. Orion in the Dark pushed this message hard. Orion studied the arts of nihilism and existentialism, and he's praised for being such a deep thinker when he tells others about how nothing matters. Heck, there's a scene in the movie where he's helping a night spirit give someone dark thoughts while they sleep, and he reminds the sleeper that life is meaningless and will all disappear one day. He's congratulated for doing such a good job as the sleeper wakes up in fear. Yeah, this is the kind of thing your 5-year-old is probably watching. And you're a star? It's that again. You know all of those great questions you had, kid? All of those things you really want to know about the world? Well, guess what? You're stardust. You're just a cosmic accident. If you really want to know just who you are, you're a meaningless clump of cells that entered the world by chance and will one day return to nothingness. I mean, when you really ask what being a star means, it means absolutely freaking nothing except what I've just said. The song ends with the forest creatures talking about how connected they feel and how they should get along better. Sure, life is meaningless, but as long as we're together, we can forget about that for a minute. Until we go to sleep, that is. This song is so frustrating, because as a Christian, I know these questions do have answers. Why do we look up at the sky for answers? What forms tree rings or makes seeds sprout? Who set everything in motion? The answer is God. Listen, even if you hate Christianity, you've got to admit that at least we've got hope. Instead of singing about togetherness, we know the world is fallen and sinful and we'll never be able to fix it on our own. But we have hope. We have hope in Jesus. We know that he loves us and we know that one day he will return and set everything right. So I've got one more thing to say. Disney is wrong. You are not a meaningless clump of cells with no reason to live. You are made in the image of God. The Bible says that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and God has a wonderful plan for your life. I feel like the kids that this movie is targeted to are being attacked from all sides right now, being told ways to fix themselves or be happy that'll just leave them empty and make them feel increasingly more meaningless. But you are not meaningless. You are so much more than just a star. Alrighty, sorry for the positivity break. Let me get back to roasting this kid's movie. Yeah, the lyrics to this song stink too. Whenever I'm having a bad day, I remind myself that several hundred people at Disney greenlit the line, "Watch out world, here I are." And I remember, I'm doing pretty okay. As for the point of this song, there is no point. It is as meaningless as the rest of the movie. Are you beginning to see a pattern? So yeah, that's my least favorite song in the movie. But there's more to talk about, so let's keep going, I guess. Yeah, I know this technically isn't a song, but I wanted to take a moment and talk about how horrendously stupid Wish's humor is. There's several moments where it goes for the lowest possible definition of humor, such as when the star draws a mustache on Asha's chin, or it has itself a little fashion show. Oh, so cute! It's almost as if they remembered, oh wait, we're supposed to be entertaining children. I guess we should make this movie at least halfway interesting. Because honestly, Wish is one of the most boring films I've seen in a while. You don't feel attached to any of the characters, and things just kinda happen. I know if I was a kid, I would have been bored out of my mind. And so we get loads of egregiously bad, funny moments, none of which is worse than the chicken dance. Asha's hidden the star and the talking goat in a closet, and her friends ask her why she's being so suspicious and demand to see what's inside. So she opens the door, and the star has magically given the closet chickens the ability to sing and dance as the goat leads them. For a full 38 seconds, the chickens sing and dance and sing some more. It feels like an eternity. This stupid joke goes on for so long. But don't you get it? Don't you see, kids? Chicken! Chicken funny! Disney funny! Yeah, okay, that's about all I got on this one.
And this is the thanks I get.
So Asha gets her friends to help her sneak into King Magnifico's wish room so she can steal her granddad's boring wish, and her best friends distract the king. Magnifico comes out telling the town someone's practicing forbidden magic and he would like information. The town agrees to help, but requests a wishing ceremony, which puts Magnifico in a bad mood. He stalks up the stairs, muttering about how unthankful the town is, and so the music begins. This is probably the most hated song in the entire movie. I'll get the bad lyrics out of the way since that's probably what you've already heard about.
Keep the name, I'm magnificent. Disrespect, I just underwent. I'm grateful much. Yeah, I got these jeans from outer space. Are you sure that you're not the prop? I'll let you live it for free, and I don't even charge you rent.
Yeah, they're some of the worst lines Disney's ever put in a theatrical movie, but what magnifies the bad lyrics is that this is supposed to be the villain song. This is the big, climactic moment where the villain's true evil is supposed to shine. So let me remind you what that's supposed to look like. Villain songs in Disney movies are scary. They showcase the power of the individual, giving you good reason to fear them. Maybe their power is the power of persuasion. Maybe they have strength or a commanding voice. Or maybe they can manipulate people by using fear. Even if their first song isn't that scary, it usually comes back for a much darker reprise. Is it reprise or reprise?
Reprise.
Reprise? Okay, yeah, that's stupid. Disney villain songs don't just move the plot forward, they single-handedly set the tone for how powerful and terrifying the villain is. So with that in mind, what do we learn from This Is the Thanks I Get? King Magnifico is not scary. It's that simple. This Is the Thanks I Get does absolutely nothing to make Magnifico an intense, powerful, or horrifying character. He just seems like a spoiled brat throwing a temper tantrum. The closest comparison would be to Gaston's song, but if Gaston was an insecure Gen Z loser praising himself in the mirror to feel better. Magnifico's villain song is a joke for one simple reason. Magnifico isn't a good villain. All the other villains I mentioned have clear goals. Maybe they want to be king, or they want to be immortal, or they want revenge. They want power and are willing to do anything to get it. Magnifico doesn't have that. Unlike all the other villains, his motives are actually decent. Sure, he's self-obsessed and a bit of a jerk, but he's not a bad guy. His goals and ambitions are pretty positive. He went through some bad stuff and wanted to make a place where that would never happen to anyone else. Did he do a perfect job? No. But at his core, he's trying to do the right thing, which means he makes for a pretty terrible villain. And Disney knew it too, because This Is the Thanks I Get is the turning point for his character, and it makes no sense. As I said, he's not a bad villain so far, but the story now demands an evil villain. So Disney decided, hey, how about we make him get possessed by dark magic? This is just a horrible way to move things along, and a dumb excuse for Magnifico's complete 180 of a character arc. Have I talked about how this song sounds yet? This Is the Thanks I Get just doesn't sound like a villain song. It's peppy and upbeat, and the little do-do-do-do-do-do-do's in the background only make it feel less intimidating. Again, this is a temper tantrum, not a real villain song. I've talked about Disney's refusal to make strong male characters before, but I find it kind of funny that even the all-powerful Sorcerer King has to be such a weak and useless man. And you might be saying, well, of course it sounds bad. Nobody makes an upbeat villain song, except I've got a great example of a kind of peppy villain song that's still horrifying, and it's not even from Disney. Anastasia is one of those movies that seems like it should be a Disney film, but it actually isn't. And aside from maybe the art style, it does Disney really well. You've got your princess character, your music, and your villain, Rasputin, who gets a deliciously evil ballad that rivals anything Disney's ever made. In the Dark of the Night is the song Rasputin sings in the underworld about how he can't wait to kill Anastasia, and it's pretty peppy and upbeat for a murder ballad.
Revenge will be sweet, and the curse is complete. She'll be gone.
The main dividing line between Rasputin's song and Magnifico's song is that Rasputin is scary and has an easy to understand goal, while Magnifico is just kinda ranting. One is upbeat and intense, and the other is upbeat and cringy. It's just that simple. Oh, and I guess I can bash the art style a bit more. I watched a bunch of Disney villain songs while making this video, and not only did they all sound a million times better, but the visuals were delicious. Whether it was harsh greens, horrifying shadows, fire and brimstone, or even something as simple as dense fog, the villain songs all felt like climactic events. And then you've got King Magnifico tossing a few wishes around and crushing one or two holograms. The moment with the magical book is actually semi-decent, and the line, "Desperate times call for desperate measures," is a good one. It reinforces the fact that he has to keep reassuring himself that he's doing the right thing. I'd give it points if it didn't follow a Yoda cameo. Oh, and then any kind of imposing or threatening power he had is completely stripped away by his, where was I? Oh yeah, it's almost as if Disney desperately doesn't want him to be threatening. So what does this song accomplish? A good deal, actually. Asha steals the wish, Magnifico turns to the dark side, and Asha sees it happen. Overall, this song is integrating plot moments into music way better than the rest of the film. I guess when you fail this badly in one area, you've got to make it up somewhere. But yeah, lyrically, this is probably the worst song in the whole movie. But we ain't done yet! Strap in, cause it's time for Asha's response.
Not allowed, knowing what I know now.
So Asha returns her granddad's wish to him, and Magnifico shows up because someone turned her in. But by using the awesome, unstoppable power of a bookcase, Asha defeats the all-powerful sorcerer and runs away. Nothing to see here, great writing all around. Asha leaves her family on an island, returns to find that she and her friends are wanted fugitives because, gasp! Friend 4 turned her in, oh no! And her friends are questioning what the heck is going on. So in her infinite knowledge and wisdom, Asha shows up to tell them everything, in the form of another awful song. Listen, I could break down how the song fails lyrically, tonally, on a basic level for music as a whole, but the fact fact is that I'm late to the party, and the channel Brainless Mastermind made an entire video breaking down this song better than I ever could. Seriously, go check it out. It's my favorite video breaking down Wish that I've ever seen. But trust me, there's far more to talk about than just the lyrics. So instead, can I talk about how Asha's the villain again? We've already established that the king isn't a good villain because his points make sense, and Asha's the villain for ruining the peace and happiness that was just fine without her. We've also talked about the weird biblical parallels between the snake from the Garden of Eden and Asha, and this song is more of that. Asha's seen the fruit, and she tells everyone else the knowledge they're missing out on. And suddenly, for the first time, there's unrest in Rosas. Maybe the people aren't happy with their king after all. See, in the Bible, after eating the fruit, Adam and Eve realize that they've sinned, and they try to hide from God in shame. But here's where our stories separate. Asha's friends buy into her words of revolution, and they like it. To use our analogy, they've fallen from God, but they're okay with that because it's time to take God down and show him who's boss. Again, I don't think this is the story Disney meant to write. Heck, I might just be looking too far into this kid's film. But they've proven to be pretty morally corrupt by now, so we can't exactly say that's off the table. And again, what are they really revolting against? Everyone here agreed to the social contract of trading their wishes for safety and no taxes, but now they've got a problem with that? You're literally living on his land. If you don't like it, go somewhere else. It's that simple. The whole invented revolution makes no sense. Oh, and how about we ask what the heck is supposed to be going on in this scene? They're marching around the cellar-looking place, moving items as if they're preparing for something. So are they building weapons of war or fortifying the room? No, they're literally making shadow art. Every single item they put in place is just to make a cool-looking shadow. And they're trying to catch the star, who's dressed as Magnifico. I can't tell if this movie's made for 5-year-olds or made by 5-year-olds. Within seconds, all of her friends agree with her, which, you know what, I won't knock too much. She's grown up with these people and they love her, so of course they come around to what she's saying. Except I will complain about this guy. He's the grumpy one who complains and doesn't believe in anything, not even his friend's ability to get the job at the beginning of the movie. He's the one calling her untrustworthy literally 2 minutes earlier, and we're supposed to believe that a minute into the song he's just all ready for revolution now? Really? I tell you, man, Disney can't write a character to save its life. Then the queen shows up, ready to march into battle with them. Listen, I think if they wanted to go with the king's been possessed and his wife desperately wants to free him even though he's evil storyline, that could have been maybe kind of interesting. But no. He's been evil for a day, so down with the king. These characters, man, I can't deal with it. So what exactly does this song accomplish? Asha successfully shares the fruit and inducts her friends and the king's wife into her cult. I mean revolution. As for the shadow art they make during the course of this song, why? Just why? The song ends with a dramatic pose that feels straight out of High School Musical. Let the revolution begin, I guess. I'd rather the movie just end, but we're not quite there yet. It's time for one final song.
Will be greater than all his magic combined.
So yeah, spoiler warning for the end of Wish if you still care. It's time for the climactic showdown. You want to see a clip that showcases exactly how horribly they've mangled Magnifica's character?
There will be no more hope, no more dreams, and no escape.
Yeah, the slightly misguided but good-hearted guy is completely gone, replaced by a Saturday morning cartoon villain. Is it the evil spell that's making him evil, or was he always this bad? I don't know, this movie's just so poorly written nothing works or makes sense. Sorry about that. But yeah, Asha starts singing to save the day. And it's a song you've heard, but sung a little bit differently.
So I look out at the stars, just like me.
Oh boy. Gee, let's mix that horrible I Want song with the nihilistic message from You're a Star. What could go wrong? Have you ever seen that Doctor Who episode where all seems lost, but the entire world gets together and thinks Doctor to save him? It's one of the cheesiest and most stupid endings to anything I've ever seen. And Disney looked at that and said, yeah, okay, let's do that for our 100th anniversary spectacular. The town uses the power of togetherness, positivity, and nihilism to defeat the all-powerful King Magnifico and imprison him in his own magical staff. The king is gone, the wishes are free, and the town is saved. Yippee. Lyrically, this reprise has all the same problems the original version does. Words are stressed strangely, the meter and tempo are all over the place, and that throw caution to every warning sign line returns. Heck, they say the line, which just makes zero sense. Your wish held high is a meaningless statement, and you're saying the king taught you to do that? Didn't you just say his promises were confused for protection, so his word is as meaningless as, I don't know, maybe swearing on my response? Seriously, none of this makes any sense. It's a fine enough finale until you look down the street and see what Encanto did. Its finale song, All of You, blends together the best parts of multiple songs from the film, includes several important character moments like Bruno's reunion and Dolores finally being seen, showcases the character growth of Mirabelle and her grandma, and ends on a beautiful way of tying the whole movie together with the doorknob scene. It is a fantastic finale song, leagues ahead of this Wishes reprise in every single way. So yeah, Asha becomes the town's fairy godmother, Peter Pan shows up, and the goat can't wait to go off and start a metropolis utopia for animals that wear clothes. It's a horrible and cringe-filled ending that perfectly fits a horrible and cringy movie. Wish is by far one of the worst movies I have ever seen. I've watched loads of bad movies this year, and even went in with rock-bottom expectations, but the undertones of evil and the blatant worship of nihilism just send this movie into the next level of awful. Y'all have asked why I hate Strange World so much, and it's because because that film is just as heavy-handed with its messages as Wish is. It just beats people over the head with environmentalism, not nihilism. Back in the day, we'd get movies that could be fun and cover interesting topics well. But now Disney's afraid that if they don't slap us silly with a message, we won't get it. There's this thing called subtlety, Disney. Once upon a time, you knew what that word meant. So yeah, I'm a lot more concerned for upcoming films like Moana 2 and Zootopia 2, or even films from the guys next door like Inside Out 2 and Toy Story 5. Disney as a company is so creatively and morally bankrupt that I don't know if we'll ever get another classic from them again. I would love to be proven wrong, but Wish is genuinely bad enough to ruin every bit of faith you might have in the company. It's disgusting. If you want to celebrate Disney's 100-year anniversary, go watch Beauty and the Beast, The Lion King, Tangled, or heck, even the non-Disney Anastasia. It certainly feels more like classic Disney than this mess of a celebration movie. And enjoy it, because there's a lot of good Disney to celebrate. Wish, sadly, is not included in that, and I will happily dump it and all of its music in the garbage bin. But anyways, those are just my thoughts. What are yours? Please tell me in the comments. Hey, Editor Bacon here. Thank you so much for watching this video. It's literally taken me months to make the darn thing, so I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed making it. In case you're new here, I'm a shorts YouTuber that posts a new short every day at 9 AM Eastern Time, where I talk about movies, games, literally whatever the crud I can think of. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, please check it out. Making this video took a lot out of me, so I think I'll probably take a good long break before I make another long form video. I've got 2 others currently, one on Star Wars, one on How to Train Your Dragon 2, both of which are probably on the screen somewhere. I'm very proud of them, so if you enjoyed this, hopefully you'll enjoy those too. But yeah, thanks again for everything. I couldn't make these videos without you guys, so from the bottom of my heart, thanks for being such a great audience.